Hello, this is Kerry Rees from the Wild Running podcast series. Today I'm going to be interviewing Jo Pavey, the World, European and Commonwealth medalist MBE. Wild Running offers trail running and yoga camps across the UK, as well as trail running and swim run events and navigation courses. Our next camp is on the 18th of September, and we offer peace of mind and refund policy. We also have a new venture on the 25th of September called Wild Coast Escapes, www.wildcoastescapes.co.uk, and Wild Running can be found at www.wildrunning.co.uk. Hi Jo Pavey.
Hi, good to see you.
Olympic athlete, MBE European
10,000. Yeah, I know,
excuse me.
surprisingly, a long way, 25 laps.
Yeah, and Commonwealth.
Commonwealth silver and also Commonwealth bronze as well when I was very old.
Yeah.
I think I'm known for being old, but I don't mind the banter.
Yeah.
It's all part of the fun.
So, the obvious question, you probably get sick of being asked, so I'll get it out of the way early days. And one of the things that stands out about you, I'm a father of 2 kids. My partner is interested to know, I'm sure lots of mothers out there are interested to know, how the hell do you manage to combine your training at that intensity with being a mum?
I think it's added to the fun really, because I thought when I had my first child, maybe I'll be retired now. I would obviously always still go out for a run because I just love going out running, but I found that as the kids got older, we found that it fitted well with family life, and obviously it's fun to be active as a family, and I think it's great to be able to show the kids that it's fun to be active. And so now I think I feel quite motivated by the fact that when I go out I can run and the kids can go on their bikes and all that sort of thing. But also I think just learning to be flexible with the training, it helped that my husband Gav is my coach, so you're always sort of in that situation able to make it a more flexible situation, like we're thinking, oh right, we need to be down the track, and then you end up there 2 or 3 hours later than you originally planned, and things like that. And also having to know what's going on in a week with the kids and juggling things with parties and play dates, and generally having fun with the kids, and just thinking to prioritise the training, what the important key aspects are, so try and get those done, and then everything else fits around. But yeah, it's definitely having a plan, but a very flexible plan, and enjoying it. But yeah, definitely I used to, in the past, just train, eat, rest, and not do a lot else, go to training camps all over the world. Whereas now some of my races, when the children were young, I actually found that I started running better in a way when I had sort of enjoyment of juggling everything, and also very mentally happy, being happier being a mum.
I guess there's a lot to be said for that as well, because you're not focusing on one thing. One of the things Brendan Foster said in his interview, he was saying he couldn't have hacked it if he was a full-time athlete. He needed to work, so I think he was a teacher, and then he worked for the council, I think, at one stage. You used to be a physiotherapist, didn't you?
Yeah.
You were training and winning races then as well.
Not really, because I was pleased, like you had success at English schools, and I won the English schools under 15 girls 1500 metres way back in 1988, shows that I've been going a while, and so I was pleased with that and just enjoyed it, the whole team camaraderie, being part of a team and everything. And I love my running, but I got injured for quite a number of years, sort of going into my teenage years up until really I was 23, so I'd gone and got my physio degree, always kept running, but I just didn't get to the fitness level of being at full fitness really. And then worked as a physiotherapist, absolutely loved it, had great fun working with all the patients, obviously really met some real characters, and it was really rewarding work, and I had lovely staff in the hospital to work with as well. It was a really great time, but I think just had this burning desire inside, could I maybe make it to be an athlete on the senior team? I didn't know whether that would be possible, but my husband and I took a career break and went backpacking around the world. So we went for about 5-6 months and did like a lap of the world like people did then, booked up all the flights, and we just went for it really. I think we didn't tell anyone that we had ambitions to really raise the game as far as the training and the running, but we thought no one's going to realise that. I wouldn't have said, oh, I'm taking a break from my job to try and become an international athlete. I would have felt a bit silly and embarrassed about saying that. So we went travelling, and
Where did you go travelling, by the way?
Hong Kong, Bali, Australia, New Zealand, Fiji and Hawaii, but we kept moving on. Like when we were in Australia, we still moved on every day, went all down the east coast, went to the Red Centre, and we just kept moving.
So Jo, we just got back from a 10k run around Holden. We managed to chat most of the way. Did you enjoy it? I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Thanks so much. You came up with a really great route. It was really hilly, which was good for me because I'm not a strong hill runner, and it would do me a lot of good to put in those hills to strengthen me up a bit. I really enjoyed it. Thank you for that.
Cool. And I guess this is near your stomping ground as well.
Yeah, I mean, I come here a lot actually, but with the family. So I tend to stick to quite a sort of tame route because our daughter's only 6 and she goes with me on the bike, so we tend to stick to quite a small flatter loop and keep sort of repeating that, whereas my son will go off on the mountain bike trails, which obviously aren't really meant for runners, so he goes off and does that, and often goes with my husband. So I don't often get the opportunity to do a really sort of decent longer route just because it's more about coming here as a family. So it was a nice opportunity, and obviously my son and husband came along today and they went off mountain biking, which was nice for them to do that because the weather's so lovely today. So it's been great. Yeah, thank you.
Jo, I was going to talk about some of the projects that you were involved in.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, it's just been such an interesting time as far as exercise is concerned, because I think, obviously it's been tough for everyone, and we appreciate the work of all the NHS staff and key workers and everything, but it's been good that the message, I think, has been out there that exercise is an important part of being healthy, and how when it was really tough, particularly in the fall lockdown, how it was so important to come up with ways of exercising. So I was really thrilled to get involved in campaigns like especially the Sport England one, the Stay In workout one, and we came up with some things that we posted and things that we did at home with the kids, just using equipment at home, and got really involved with that, which I really enjoyed doing. And what was great about that as well is the campaign tried to get people to post videos they'd done and actually put that out there so that everyone could see, other members of the public, and often amusing ideas. Like another thing really, it was actually this indoor virtual relay which was organised, where there literally for a whole month there was an hour where you could sign up for, and the relay was going 24 hours a day. So I did some virtual runs on the treadmill where you'd be online, you'd be talking to the team captains, and I had the honour of doing the first leg of that and the final leg, and changed into 12 different fancy dress costumes while I was running, which was fun. I wondered if I'd be able to change while I was running, but I could, but I just mainly kept to...
Was Gavin on hand to hand you a costume?
Yeah, because they were shouting out what costume I had to wear, and I had them all categorised, lightened up, and I'd say, right, pass me that one. And so that was a lot of fun. And also other just social campaigns. I was involved with the Premiership Rugby Make That Call campaign, which was more about actually making a call to people who might, appreciate someone to talk to during the lockdown. But I think it has been good, like even just out running around near my home, seeing more people out running and walking on bikes with their kids. That's been really noticeable, and I think if anything positive come out of this really difficult situation, it's been that exercise is important for physical health but also very much mental health, and that message it's always been there, but it's been definitely made a lot stronger by it being part of the message. Yes, you can go out and you can exercise, and how important that is.
Just using yourself as an example, Jo, I mean, when you were younger, did you learn life skills that serve you today, apart from obviously being a good runner? And if so, what were they?
Yeah, definitely. I think it helped me socially. It gave me more confidence because of being part of a team and all the social side of going along to an athletics club when I was like 13 or 14 years old, and having that separate group of friends where we all had that similar interest, and we could go to events, cheer each other on, support each other, and then enjoy, going on the team bus and coming back on the team bus and stopping at services and buying sweets and having all that fun, and just that camaraderie of supporting each other really helped me socially to gain a bit more confidence, I think. And also, I
Because
think
you remember of Exeter
Harriers,
yeah.
yeah. So, and I think also probably the life skills, not only as working as a team, but having a goal and trying to work towards it. And I think that's a good lesson in life that you can get from sport and exercise as well. If you set yourself goals, they don't have to be goals at achieving something that's like a medal. They can be personal goals of improving your time or entering your first 5k or 10k. Exercise can provide all that, as well as meeting up with amazing people and having all those life experiences, travelling to different places. It's been massive.
Something I've noticed about you is that you seem to be quite in touch with the grassroots side of the sport, because let's face it, athletics can be quite an individual sport, and it can also be quite a lonely sport in some ways, because you're out running a lot of the time by yourself. But you talk about the camaraderie, and I know I experienced that when I was younger. The volunteers who gave up their time to carry the bags and turn up week after week after week. Probably one of the things that kept me in the sport at that age.
Definitely.
But I suppose when you've gone to the higher echelons of the sport, which you have, it may be slightly easier to forget that, but clearly you haven't. Do you think that's because you are? I mean, do you ever go down to the club on a club night?
Yeah,
or?
I mean, I go to the club, and also I have the real honour of giving out the awards at the club every year, and I absolutely love that, to be able to give the awards to the athletes, the young athletes and senior athletes, but also have a chance to always say thank you to everyone at the club who's making the club happen, as far as the coaches, the people doing the admin, people doing the website, people who are working, doing the teas and coffees, everyone that's involved. And I always, say, without people like yourselves, I would have never had an athletics career. And I feel so grateful that when I showed an interest in running, that there were people there, like my old coach Tony White, who massive part of my life, and remained a family friend. He sadly passed away, not that long ago really, and he was someone who Gav and I always kept in contact with, right through, because we appreciated what he'd done for us, and everyone at the club. If you got an interest in running, you need people like that to be able to provide that situation where you can go along and you can take part in events and you can have those teammates and that, and you're just so grateful to people that have done that for you as you've been growing up, and it's so important. And without people like that, none of us would have been able to have a sporting career, because we would have nowhere to go to sort of develop our passion that we had for the sport.
That's right. And I just wonder, in terms of the future, do you think things will get back to normal? Or, in terms of the way you pick and choose races, would you think, for example, I'll stay away from that, it's going to be too many people? Or do you think things will just get back to normal with a bang after Christmas?
I think it's really tricky to know what will happen with the virus, because, of course, there's a lot of talk of there being potentially a second wave, and with the winter and there being more likelihood that the virus could spread in those conditions, and whether there's enough immunity amongst the public, and there's all these questions. And it's nice to think that events will start to go ahead, but I think there's a difference in what might be able to go ahead, because obviously, like the Olympics that people are hoping to aim for, and some people had already qualified for, it's we hope that will be able to go ahead for athletes next year. But it's such a massive thing to have, crowded stadiums. But even if you do it in a degree where there's not so many crowds, there's still got to be accommodation where athletes stay, with all the officials and team management and people travelling from all over the world to this one place. And we hope it can go ahead, but obviously, everyone's realistic. There's no guarantees that can actually happen. We hope that events will be able to start off. In athletics, they've been able to do some kind of track meetings and that without stadium crowds and things like that. But the thing is, it's not just about elite sport. Running is about the running community, and what I miss is the big events where you go there and you want to run well, but the experience is being able to run with thousands of other runners, meet those runners, hear all their personal stories. And that's what I love about running, is being part of the running community. And of course, we're all missing Park Run. Park Run just does so much for the running community and for everyone involved, the volunteers that are there to make it happen, and how that even itself encourages children to maybe start that interest in running, because you don't have to run the whole way, you can walk and just be part of it, and we're all missing that side of it really. So that's kind of a thing that I'm sad about at the moment, because of course maybe sports are starting to happen with just a few elite runners, but we want the whole running community back, and it's made us really appreciate it all the more. I think we can go out and enjoy our running, but we miss our fellow runners and all the positive side of that really.
Yeah, so I mean, I know Brendan Foster was talking about things coming back, with there being a big rebound, which let's hope that does happen. So I was going to ask, if you were to give a piece of advice to a young athlete trying to learn to train, is there a piece of advice that you were given that you would pass on, or what would be your advice from your experience about training and your approach in general towards running?
Yeah, I think I went sort of full circle in a way, in that when I made my first Olympics, I'd gone back to, just because I'd been injured for 2.5 years and I desperately wanted to make my first games, that I was at a stage where I was just doing the priority aspects of training, because I was aiming for 5k at that time. I was doing a tempo run each week, one session on the sort of grass cricket pitch, good quality grass, and one track session, and that was sort of the key things I was doing. And I definitely went back to that approach in 2014, because I just had a baby and I was coming back from that, getting ready to compete in the championships, but I hadn't had those months of training behind me, so I'd gained enough experience to know that if I wanted to race, I had to be hitting certain times on the track, because I was aiming for 5k and 10k on the track. So rather than running miles and miles and miles, I focused on doing the priority things, which was the quality work and the tempo runs. And the quality work doesn't have to be on the track. I did a great deal of it on cricket pitches and things like that. But I think the main thing is to, it's for young runners, set yourself a goal, but have a flexible goal. Just think that you're going to make your way there sensibly, so you're listening to your body, and think about just sort of doing the priority aspects of training. You don't need to run miles and miles and miles. If you're young, you want to build up gradually to that. Just think about doing a bit of tempo running and a bit of sort of interval work and everything. But the main thing is to enjoy it. That's what I'd say. I mean, the reason I've kept running for so many years is because I absolutely love running. So get out and enjoy running, find places to run in beautiful scenery, join a club, make some friends, have that camaraderie, and it's great to aim for things, but just the main thing is to enjoy it and not overdo it. Don't overtrain and get injured. Be sensible, listen to your body, but most of all just have fun really.
Do you find you get injured less as you've got older?
Yeah, I used to find that. I was most injured at the start of my career. I think my body was still getting conditioned to the training that I was trying to do, and I also didn't have so much experience to listen to my body and make decisions on a daily basis, because now I'll have a training schedule, but sometimes I'll delay a session by a day, or I'll modify the session while I'm doing it, and I didn't have that level of experience. In the last 2-3 years, I've found, as I got older, occasionally things have gone suddenly, which has been a new thing. Rather than almost being an overuse injury, I'll be at the track and suddenly my calf will go, or my plantar fascia, and that's been something. But I'm injury free at the moment, and I feel a little bit stronger again now. But yeah, I'd say going into 2014, coming back from having the baby, I didn't get injured at all. So even though I was making my way back, I think I'd learnt from coming back from the first pregnancy. I ended up getting the qualifying times, getting in the team, but that then actually not competing at the champs because I got a really bad injury in my foot. But yeah, I'd say I became less injured during the main part of my career, and then just the last couple of years or so I've been things have gone a bit sort of twanged, if you know what I mean, rather than overused. But I think I feel a bit more confident that maybe I can get back this time. But like I was saying earlier, I was very much in ticking over mode during the main part of lockdown. I was going out running thinking, I just love running, I just love being out. But I'd obviously prior to lockdown, I was going down the track and I was watching my times, whereas it became more of let's get out with the kids, go on the bikes, take in the environment and enjoy it. And so I'm working my way back and getting onto it and feel quite motivated, at the moment.
Yeah, great. Yeah. So you were telling me before that you don't do a lot of yoga and you're not particularly flexible, if that's the right word. Yeah. But you do a lot of strength conditioning.
Yeah,
still.
I do core stability and strength and conditioning, but not loads of it. I think I said earlier that when I'd been backpacking and then it had all been, actually when we were backpacking we did it sounds hilarious, but we did actually do this, stop somewhere and lift logs and rocks and stuff, like cavemen or something, just thinking I've got to do some strength conditioning, I'm trying to make the World Championships in theory, even though it probably seemed very unrealistic at the time. So we did lift logs and stones and things, which sounds crazy, but we did actually do that. And so I've always kept a bit of that going, but when I came back from backpacking, having then made the World Champs, I went for a phase, I'm going to get stronger and faster, and obviously many athletes have made so much success of doing very tough, like lifting weights and putting bars on their backs, doing squats and everything, and I think that's really good if athletes can handle that, but I found that I was getting a lot of injuries, taking sore muscles to the track, so now I have a strength and conditioning program, but it's much more using my own body weight and functional exercises and not really using a great deal of weights.
You do a lot of that at home, you don't go to a gym.
No, I do that at home. I go up and down off the coffee table in chairs and
and that was before
multitask
lockdown
as well. I was doing it sometimes, do a bit of stir fry in the middle of it and stuff.
With kids, you have to, don't you?
Yeah, you do. Yeah, so I do it, but I don't tend to go to the gym. I just do it, wherever. And but I do a bit of that. But I'm not very good at flexibility. But I think I've got enough range of movement to do a running action, which is probably the main thing at the moment. But when you were talking about yourself doing yoga, I thought, you're putting me to shame. I need to do yoga and Pilates and things like that.
I don't have much choice, Jo. My partner does it every morning and it's in my face, so might as well join in.
Yeah, definitely.
Something I ask everyone who does a podcast with me, Strava, good or bad?
Oh, it's good, I think what's nice about it is the social interaction, being able to give people, the kudos when they've done well, and just the interaction, the running community. I've had the main part of my career when I was more in my prime where all these things didn't exist, so I'm not necessarily thinking I'm used to it as far as using it as a training tool, but I do enjoy having runs posted and things like that, but more for social thing, to be able to interact with other runners. I really enjoy that side of it, but I think the main part of my career I was a track runner and none of this technology existed, so I was very much just very used to going down the track. 800 metres is 2 laps, you do 10 of them, you've got to do it in a certain time. You don't get any hiding away from that, or you don't get the opportunity to measure it accurately somewhere else or whatever. So I was very much used to that, and also if I wasn't on the track I was very much used to just doing 10 times 3 minutes, not really knowing, because obviously you can measure out, but I was mainly just measuring it on the track. So I've enjoyed all that side of it coming through, but I'm very much aware all the younger athletes, when I've been on the team still, and they, when I went to Rio in 2016, obviously I was 3 in the team for Great Britain, and my 2 teammates were 20 years younger than me, and so they were all so modern and so up on everything, and as we walked into the Olympic Village, they were all broadcasting it on Snapchat. They're developing their careers while all these things are there to use, and so for me I found it a really welcome thing, and for a lot of the younger athletes it's what running is, because they have never known any different.
So Jo, I know you're doing a run in September, and you seem quite relaxed about at the moment, because it's quite hard to plan, isn't it, with there being no races on the calendar particularly. It seems like you're at that age, you're 46, where you could quite easily just say, you know what, I'm not going to go on getting better, I've got nothing to prove, so just call it a day. Are you running just because you just enjoy it and you like to set yourself goals, or do you genuinely think you can keep getting better at 40?
Well, I don't necessarily think I would necessarily get better. Maybe I would not be totally delusional. But I just enjoy setting goals. And like the race I'm aiming for in September, as I was saying earlier, it's been a bit unusual circumstances for all runners, obviously. And so we haven't had the normal preparation or the normal circumstances going into it. But, you know, I'm just going to get as fit as I can under the circumstances. But, yeah, I just enjoy setting goals still. Not setting limitations, but it's mainly just my passion for running, and I can't imagine a life without running. I just really love it, and I think anything that I achieve or not, you know, it's just a sort of side thing of how much fun I'm having just getting out running. Really, I love interval sessions. I love going down the track and just, you know, setting the watch and just seeing how fast I can get round, even if it's not as fast as I'm hoping. You know, I enjoy that.
But also, I mean, you're obviously an ambassador for the sport, and in some ways people who are just coming into the sport, but also people, probably especially women, I'd say, but also people of a certain age, you know, who may be just getting into running. So I guess that's a really good incentive to carry on too, because you've almost got another role in a way, which is encouraging people to keep going or try new things.
Well, I think it's been lovely over the last few years how running has really gone up in popularity, and also people seeing that even if they weren't runners when they were at school or in their sort of, even in their 20s and 30s, they found a new love for running and taking part in events. And also I think there's been definitely an improvement in people realising that it's open for everyone. You know, you don't have to have been a good runner at school or anything. Running is just such an inclusive sport, and the running community is so inclusive to people, and I think that's a really good thing. And I love it when I can go to events and talk to fellow runners who are like literally obviously in the same situation as me, being a busy parent, juggling things in life and that, and we all share the same experiences. And
how
really
do you
nice.
split it up with Gavin then in terms of childcare when you're training and doing the school run and all that?
Yeah, I mean, we don't like have a set plan. It just sort of happens on a day. We don't have like, oh, you pick them up on this day and I pick them up on that day. We just
do it organically.
Yeah, just sort of.
So I guess you have to be a pretty firm unit though as well.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Gav's always been really supportive, and you know, we just we have to sort of organise what we're doing, but we don't have like rigid. You know, it just sort of, it's nice to go with the flow and make sure that the kids are happy and everything's sorted, but we don't have like, you do this day, I do this day, and obviously occasionally I have to go away for just one night or something to do you know, a function or something, but you know, I don't go away on training camps. I haven't been on a training camp for about 11 years because I just, you know, I could have done, but I just wanted to stay at home for the kids. And I already thought, once I was pregnant with my first child, I drew a line under all that and thought I don't go on. I mean, obviously I had to go on the holding camp for things like the Olympics, where you go away with the team just prior to the event. But as far as actual training camps, you know, before we had children, Gav and I used to go to South Africa, America, we've been to Australia, all different countries on training camps, and used to spend many months away. But as soon as I was pregnant with my first one, I just drew a line under that.
So you wouldn't
I
have
haven't
thrived under central contracts if all that central contract that came in with Team GB, where you had to attend so many races and so many.
I'd say more that was after the time, really, where I was never in that sort of era. I was very fortunate in that, you know, when I was in my prime, I did, you know, at that time get funding to go on a training camp, but they weren't a compulsory camp as such, if you know what I mean. They were just there to help you improve your fitness levels, and I'm glad that I got the chance to do that at the time, and it's great that younger athletes are getting the opportunity to do things like that when they can. But I stopped doing that because I did have the opportunity to go on camps after I became a mum, but I just decided, right, I've been fortunate to have experienced all that when I was younger, and now I'm sort of in the next phase of my life, and it taught me a lot as well, because when I finally got a gold at Europeans in 2014, that was obviously just being at home, just training hard, juggling everything, it just made me realise as long as you train hard, it doesn't matter where you are. You just need to get out there, train hard, keep it consistent, enjoy yourself.
It's all on your doorstep.
And you can still achieve your goals. You don't need to be anywhere. You just need to get out there, enjoy it, and keep it consistent. And you can, get what you're aiming for.
What I find interesting about you is that there are certain sports where you have a sort of focus of talent in a geographical area. I think Matthew Said talks about this in one of his books. Is it Bounce? Where there used to be so many good table tennis players all living on the same street. Do you think that's important or not really so much to have people to train with?
Yeah, I mean the thing is, I've always I spent a few years obviously in Teddington, southwest London, which was a big centre really for endurance running at the time. But I didn't actually train in a squad there. I was more there just because at the time I was travelling a lot to lots of different races, and it was really near Heathrow. And then we had Bushy Park, Richmond Park, had the River Path, and the track was a 5-minute jog from my house, and it was open till 10 o'clock at night, and I could just use it when I needed to. And it really was for that reason. I wasn't actually training the squad, but before we had children, Gav, my husband, used to do a lot of pacemaking with me, so we used to train together, and he was really good at doing that, and that really helped. So we used to do that, and I used to meet around that time, being in more of a centre, I used to meet friends, but I didn't really train in a squad just because we'd kind of gone into that sort of lifestyle, training together but yet being sociable. So I think moving back to Devon, which we always planned to do. We knew we wanted to bring our children up in Devon, so we absolutely love it here. And so it wasn't like I was moving away from a squad, but it did move away from obviously having young children. I couldn't train with Gav anymore because I went for a run. He obviously was looking after them, and we'd all go places as a family, but when they're really little, he couldn't just run.
So you lost your pacemaker?
Yeah, I lost the pacemaker.
Okay. Briefly, let's talk about guilty pleasures. Everybody thinks athletes are squeaky clean. You were talking about peanut butter fetish that you had. Are there guilty pleasures that runners are supposed to have?
Red wine and chocolate. Yeah, okay. I love red wine.
Yes.
I think I'm known for that. Even I think I mentioned to you earlier that after my first Olympics in Sydney, the team got invited to Buckingham Palace to meet the Queen, the whole team, not obviously just me or anything, the whole team, but we were really lucky because it was just the athletics team, and the Queen came round and spoke to all of us, and we'd been kindly given lots of wine by the staff at Buckingham Palace, but I didn't drink before I went there. It was only what they'd given me, so I got quite sort of beyond it. And when the Queen came to talk to me, my friend Andy Hart, who's an 800 metre runner, was like holding me up, and I said to the Queen, "Wow, what a lovely house you've got." But she was really nice, and she was like thinking that was quite a nice, flattering comment. She has got a very nice house, but I think I got known for that in the team, which was quite funny. So I do like a glass of red wine, but I know when to enjoy it and then when to think, right, okay, there's a race in a few days, obviously in moderation, but yeah, and lots of chocolate. But I think you just got to eat healthily, but don't deny yourself treats. And also, there's been a lot of talk with younger athletes suffering from eating disorders, and I've seen it all too often where a young athlete has come on the scene, had 1 or 2 good years, and you think, wow, they're a prospect for the future, and then unfortunately they've been lost to the sport through eating disorders. And I think during my career, obviously I'd have liked to have achieved more at times and all things like that, but as far as the amount of years I've kept going, I've always had a sort of healthy outlook on making sure I eat enough, and also focusing when I need to focus, but enjoying my life as well. And I think that's made me enjoy the sport more, and also allowed me to keep going maybe a bit longer than I would have done.
Yeah, I mean, it's just something I want to touch upon. I was reading recently, when you were pregnant, you were kind of ditched by Nike, your sponsor at the time. How did you feel about that at the time, and do you know why?
It wasn't actually when I was pregnant. It was that I was... Well, I wasn't actually ditched, as in my contract was frozen,
right.
And it was more about making sure I could get re-sponsored, whereas actually I wasn't being sponsored for the work I was doing during the year because I still had to do appearances for them whilst I was pregnant. So, but to be honest, I just got on with things. I wasn't dwelling at all these topics came out later, and rightly so, because it should be a positive thing that a woman is pregnant, and they shouldn't be penalised for that, because
you're not the last person that something similar has happened.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Of course, I was thinking it was brilliant when people were talking about all those sort of issues, but at the time when it happened to me, this was way back in 2009 when this happened, so I wasn't necessarily thinking that it was something I should complain about or anything. I was just going with the flow, just really focused on how excited I was about having my first child. But at the same time, when people did start talking about it, I was prepared to talk about it, because I thought it was brilliant that they were bringing this to the fore, because it should be a positive thing that women can get pregnant, and that there's brilliant female role models out there. And so it was
an important, you've done since,
and it was an important issue. And the other it was I suppose the other disappointment was when I finally got the gold in 2014. I just, in a way, reached a peak in my career, in a way, even though I just had a baby and I was age of 40, and I didn't get my contract renewed just straight after that, which was disappointing. But at the same time, I can't complain, but it was disappointing, because it felt like it wasn't necessarily the message that you would hope that they would, put out. But it's not anything I can complain about. But it was obviously disappointing.
And how are they to know that you've become a bit of a yardstick now, probably for athletes think, I don't have to wind it up at 40 now. I can keep going for a few more years.
I think people are going on longer, aren't they? And people are doing great performances. And if I can encourage people to keep going, then that's great. I love setting goals. I love getting out for a run. Love how it makes you feel. And just keep going. But I'll never retire, as in I'll always be going for a run. It's just something I love to do.
Well, I hope there's many years left in you, Jo. Thanks very much for spending time to chat
thanks
today.
very much.
I hope we get a chance to do another run.
Yeah, it'd be lovely. Cheers.
Jo.
Thanks.